Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
Told my best friend his brother, other best friend, was up with his fiancée behind his back. Everyone but who I told is mad at me. I informed a close buddy that his brother was having an affair with his fiancée behind his back. This narrative has some history and background, and I'll attempt to offer as much information as I can. For reasons of privacy, names have been altered. Background: this narrative revolves on 4 key characters: Tony, Brandon, and Roger. Tony and Roger are brothers. I grew up with Brandon and Tony and have been great friends with them for almost 15 years. I became closer to Roger over time and had a lot of fun with him. Tony and I sort of grew apart as we went about our lives and had our own things going on. Brandon has almost always been present. During the height of our friendship, Roger married his new lady, who is really wonderful. They even have a child together today. Shortly before their wedding, I had split up with my long-term girlfriend of 4 years and had just earned the confidence to start dating again. Brandon was dating her younger sister throughout my time with my ex-girlfriend. Brandon's sister had broken up with him, and I and my boyfriend had broken up soon after for unrelated reasons. I decided to treat myself to a trip before Roger's wedding and reunited with an old flame. I wasn't fully over my ex at the time, and the new lady was aware of this, so we agreed to take things slowly. Brandon had been hanging out with my ex-girlfriend for a few days after we split up when they began banging one another. This shattered me. I was furious that he was doing this so soon after we had broken up. I didn't realize it immediately away. Instead, my ex-girlfriend informed me and accused him of abusing her. I didn't want to trust her anymore. But I was also aware that Brandon was a controversial person who cheated on every girlfriend he had. He enjoys taking advantage of broken females. Because of this, I got a lot of criticism for being friends with him, so I trusted my ex. Brandon and I had a falling out. We nearly got into a fight, and the cops were called to be sure. He never said she was wrong or even apologized to me for doing so. After a year, my ex-girlfriend said it wasn't true. I apologized to Brandon right away for trusting her. I was a shambles. I despised her for lying, and I despised Brandon for what he did. Brandon exhibited no remorse and was unconcerned about how I felt as a result of his actions, despite the fact that I apologized. Mentally, things had become so awful for me that I decided to visit a therapist. It took a while, but I eventually learned to manage my gloomy thoughts and feelings. Working full-time had taken its toll on me, with these weird ideas and feelings and being a full-time student. I eventually buried the past and attempted to go on as if nothing had occurred. Now for the plot. COVID occurred. I haven't seen many of my pals in a long time because of a family I worked with and a girlfriend with family who both have weakened immune systems. We strive to visit pals on a low-risk basis. I'd bring the guys around for drinks and card games on occasion. Because I introduced Roger and Brandon to each other, they never truly hung out with each other. This is when things started to become strange. I'd attempt to visit Tony at work to hang out, since he worked the opposite shift as mine, or I'd go to his place to watch football games. However, Brandon and Roger were also hanging out independently at the time. That's okay. I didn't mind. Only until I tried to hang out with them both and they began to exclude me from the typical nonsense we did. I had no clue what was going on. I inquired if there was a reason for this. When I questioned them, I was truly ignored. I became irritated and inquired again, to which I was informed that I was taking it too seriously and being about the entire situation. I had no idea why my pals didn't want to get out with me anymore. I was very perplexed and offended. Finally, I said, I'm simply not going to put up with this any longer and have decided to quit attempting to speak to either of them. Roger had been dismissed from a job we were both working at the time for stealing and being intoxicated on the job. Our circle of friends would come to see us since we were longtime friends with the owner. When he was let go, the owner told me that Tony's fiancée would be arriving late and would be waiting for everyone to go so Roger and her could up. This was messed up in my brain. How could someone do such a thing to someone else's family? It reminded me a little of what Brandon did to me. I kept this knowledge to myself for a few weeks. When I informed my fiancée about it, she agreed. I told Brandon about it and asked what he thought. He said that it is none of his concern and that happens all the time. That everyone will be all right if no one speaks about it. This was one of the few interactions I had with Brandon after I decided to withdraw from the group. We ended up having a huge disagreement over what's good and wrong. He was justifying Roger's actions, claiming that they were okay, and that he had no issue with them. He also advised me not to say anything in order to maintain the peace. This reasoning made absolutely no sense to me. I became enraged with him. After a lengthy discussion with my fiancé, I believed it was best for Tony to be aware of what was going on, but I also informed him. People at my workplace were even aware of it. It was destined to happen. I told him what we discovered, who we learned it from, and who was covering it up. Now I've got a few of buddies that think I'm a jerk for informing Tony. I lost more than a few of friends. A large circle of people concluded I was the jerk who lit the fire. Tony, on the other hand, phoned me back after looking into it and thanked me for informing him. In my mind, I'm torn. I feel that what I did was correct. I don't support cheating, and I'm not going to help cover it up. Story 2. Wife had affair only admitted after being caught. Wants to reconcile, but I'm stuck. So I've been married for 5 years. We've been together for 12 years, and we have 2 children, ages 3 and 7. Things weren't going well between us around a year ago during the epidemic. We were becoming estranged, but life went on. My wife was furloughed, had injured her foot, was homeschooling our oldest, and her father and sisters. Health were not doing well at the time, so she was going through a lot. I ended up finding her in bed with a female friend one night, and things became heated when I discovered texts on her phone from her buddy Johnny that were plainly and improper. This man is a former coworker who lives out of town but comes here for work on sometimes. He's a tattoo artist, and she had gotten a tattoo from him that week, so I let her go to his apartment for a get-together with pals. Despite the fact that I saw messages implying that they were having, she merely acknowledged to making out. I ended up reading through her Instagram and text conversations, and they were really and things were taking on an S&M tone, which was quite troubling. I flew into a frenzy and hurled her phone to the ground, shattering it. So we did couples counseling for 6 months after this. She finally wanted to split. She gaslighted me the entire time even though I was dejected and couldn't let go of the idea that I knew they had even though she wouldn't confess it. I tried everything, including trying to win her back, going on date nights, and being a better partner around the home, but she wasn't ready. She was too attached to this person. In April, I caught her him again, and she allegedly broke off communication with him. In May, I went out of town to seek some space, and she swore not to see him. While I was away, she contacted me and said she wanted to give things a go and not split. I was overjoyed and returned energized to get things back on track. Things were going well. Okay, she got a new job this summer, and I urged her to ban him on Instagram, which she did. But then in June, I saw him again, and I lost it, became suicidal, called 911 and so on. Obviously, there is a lot of toxicity all around. After that, I contacted the man and told him to leave my wife alone. A month later, I began receiving emails from the guy's girlfriend, and everything began to come to light. Of course, they had the first time back in the autumn, but the kicker is that on the night I was out of town, and she contacted me claiming she wanted to work things out. He was in town, and she buckled and allowed him come over. And they had intercourse in my home, on my sofa, while my kids were sleeping. She blames it on alcohol, prior trauma, and a variety of other factors, but none of them excuse it, and I can't stop thinking about them having. I know all the details and I can't unsee it. She's desperate to make things right, now that it's all been brought out in the open, and she's been doing all she can, but I'm stuck. I just believe it's unforgivable. But maybe I'm wrong. I adore her, and I want things to work out because our children rely on us, and when things are going well, we make an excellent team. I'm desperate to know whether things can improve. I'm an overthinker, and I'm scared that I won't be able to overcome this. Thank you very much.